Please welcome, first of all, I'll introduce our moderator, Meg Zucker. Meg, thank you so much for being here with us. Welcome Rachel Handler, who you'll recognize from Andy and Kaliope. Andy Kaliope. Please welcome also the director of the film, one of the directors of the film, Catriana Stevens. Catriana, thank you so much for being here. And also, please welcome the director of Rite of Identity, Youmee Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks. I think we have 15, 20 minutes, hopefully, just to cover these incredible movies. Let's just give everybody a hand as well. I mean, oh my gosh. I got a chance to preview before, and what's really great about wonderful, important movies and reels is that you can watch them again and again and actually learn different things that you didn't notice in the first time you see them, and I really, really appreciated that. So I'm Meg Zucker. I'm president of Don't Hide It, Flaunt It as well, which a few of our board members are here. We're going to be running a Flaunt It activity for kids after this, and I'm also the author of Born Extraordinary, Empowering Children with Differences and Disabilities. And I was born with a genetic condition that I passed on to two out of three of my children. So looking forward to everyone joining that discussion. And Pam Schuler, incredible disability advocate and comedian, will be moderating that with me. So we'll have a lot of laughs, if nothing else. So I guess I want to start with Andy and Kaliope, if I can. And Rachel, you're right here. Thank you. And Catriana is right there as well. Okay. So, it's interesting. I had a lot of thoughts about this, but, I'll start with the fact of, I'll certainly speak from my own personal life experience, the concept of it isn't fair, and he was saying that to your character, it's not fair. And I would remember saying that to my mom, and she'd say, life's not fair for any one of us. But you acknowledged that. The character acknowledged that to him, and I thought that was really important, just calling that out. And wanted to actually, Catriana, if you don't mind, I wanted to talk about Cole, who he had his own, obviously, genetic difference completely normalized in the reel, which I loved. So much of the time I think that in mainstream feels the fact that someone is different or has a disability has to be the sort of topic or focus of the reel. But with that, it was just so normalized in such a wonderful way. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that was the thing with the film, was that we weren't really trying to highlight anyone or make anyone stand out. These just were our characters in the film, and even with Andy, it's never really talked of in the film why he was sent back by his foster parents. He's just battling his own inner anxiety and fears of moving into another foster care situation. And that was really important for us, making the film, that this is just, we are just casting great actors, first and foremost. And, that's what we want to showcase. Rachel, do you want to speak on that too?
Rachel, by all means. And Rachel's a writer, correct? Or
I did. I wrote the film.
Yeah. In addition.
Tina
Kenny Jones did the music. Yeah, I did the music this year for my film this year with Tina.
Very cool.
Her name is Tina Kenny Jones. Yeah, not me, but Tina. Yeah. When I did cast the film, I really wanted to use all actors with disabilities. Myself, Colin Buckingham plays Cole, he's a little person, and Jay Srinivasan plays Andy, and he has cerebral palsy. And I always like to create films that star actors with disabilities, whether or not the film is about disability itself, because I think just seeing disabled bodies on screen is so important and so rare. So for all my films, I just like to make that a thing. Like, the story doesn't have to be about him being a little person. He's just there doing his job as a social worker.
Mm-hmm. So just to ask on the foster care front and the adoptive message, because this has an important message in terms of, children, deserving children who, we would all like, I think, certainly in this room and in a larger audience, see get adopted, but the challenges and the willingness to take that on. My husband and I are actually adoptive parents, and so we really appreciate everything. She actually did not share my condition biologically. There was a little chance of it, but my grandparents were in an orphanage, and my grandmother went through foster care. So I can't begin to tell you how much depth this had for me. I guess in terms of managing through that discussion point and why you wanted to end on that message, as you were writing it, was there something personal in your life, or how did that come up?
That's a great question. We made this film last year for the Disability Film Challenge, so we had 5 days to write, film, and edit this film. So it was a whirlwind, but the genre that was announced for the film challenge was superheroes. So I had a bunch of ideas swirling in my head of what we wanted to do. And I thought of this idea of a kid who imagines he's a superhero because he's going through something hard in his life. And I realized seeing a kid with a disability in foster care was not something I had seen before on a TV show or in a film. So I started doing research, and Kat came on board very quickly. And because of the pandemic, there was a lot of information out there about how hard it was on kids in the foster care system. So it was something we just dove in together, and I started writing, and it all just, came together based on this inkling of, I haven't seen this before. I wonder if this is a thing. And we just built it from there.
Yeah, look, I wrote a book about empowering kids and how, parents, that are guided in that direction really can see sort of their kids take flight. And I think the imagination of the character Andy and everything he portrayed, it just spoke volumes. The theme of superhero. I mean, I even talk about in my book how, if you give a child, a deserving child, his or her dignity, then, it's like giving Wonder Woman her cuffs. There's all those kind of important messages. And actually, even throughout many of the films that we just, or reels that we just watched, the superhero themes seem to really shine through. And I love that. So I think we're going to switch over to Youmee Lee. But I want to thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Would it be easier? It would be easier if you moved back just a little so I could see the interpreter and the moderator. Just scooch back just a little.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I want to say about this reel of yours, I want to understand if the girl was you or if it was sort of conceptually someone that you wanted to illustrate, because there was a lot of emotion that came out, and I was just curious if this was based on your own personal life experience in a classroom.
So really, this deaf character is a collection of deaf people's stories throughout the years, not just me, but it's representative of deaf children relating to the collective experience of deaf people. So it's not only my story, it's just representative of a collective deaf experience in the classroom, and adults as well, and their personal stories and what they shared with me. So a lot of deaf people have this standardized experience, and we all really understand each other through this experience in the classroom. So it's not just based on me.
Okay, thank you for that. I felt that you provided a power punch of emotion in your reel, because you could feel the loneliness, you could feel frustration, isolation, so many things. However, there was a little extra character in the reel, and that was a butterfly. And I love that. To me, it was almost as if the butterfly signified that reality of somebody who is living in their own version of normal, capable of doing anything and everything within their means. And that butterfly signified the joy and brought the character through that realm. So can you tell us more about why you chose the butterfly? It has eyes, very cool, and anything else about that decision?
So the butterfly is really metaphoric and symbolic as well for the deaf experience. You know, deaf people usually use the butterfly as a symbol for deaf identity and deaf community.
I didn't even know
Because
that.
the butterfly can't hear. It feels vibrations. That is how it detects sounds. And so I wanted to play with that environmental sound design and those vibrations and play that into the butterfly. I'm not sure if you guys could feel the vibrations in the audience when the girl had her FM on, when she had the hearing aid on. The 3 times those sounds went out, the kind of waves there. Could you guys feel that? The vibrations? Mm.
I felt like the butterfly, I mean, I was writing down.
And so the butterfly.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So the butterfly feels those vibrations and feels those sound waves.
I'm sorry. I have to say I was writing down words when I saw the butterfly. Joy, flying, free, peace, you know, all these things that were coming through. And really, you know, when I look at the character and who she is and what she is, you know, in her own sort of authentic experience, that's who she is as a person. And I felt like your reel really gave us the opportunity to see that. And thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to say a few things. So there's
Please.
2 different worlds in deaf culture. Deaf people live in the deaf world and the hearing world. And the hearing world is very noisy, and we have all these technologies, CI, cochlear implants, and hearing aids that are supposed to allow us to access this hearing world, but it's not fully accessible. So if you'll notice, that's the black and white world, the hearing world that they live in, and the deaf world is visual and colorful and bright. Because children in the hearing world who are mainstreamed in public schools, who interact with other hearing children, it can be very difficult and isolating. And so that world is in black and white. I also just wanted to comment about what you said on isolation. The visual world is not isolated. The black and white world is the one that is isolated because it's not fully accessible.
Thank you very much. Let's give a hand to everybody on the panel. Thank you for your time. You really, and just your efforts. They're absolutely beautiful and worthwhile. So
We'll take some
yes,
questions
take
from the
some
audience.
questions, absolutely.
Please, it's time for you to be a part of it. We'll pass the microphone around.
I just wanted to add that when I saw the butterfly, I felt like the butterfly was seeing her, and that was really beautiful to me.
I hope everyone heard that. She was saying that she felt the butterfly was seeing her, which I think, I didn't even pick up on that. Thank you for adding that. Yep.
I got a question. What was the story about Cody? Like, how do you, like, depict it? Like, what was it based on?
I think that's a different film, which you're talking about. Is that correct? Is that the superhero first?
Yeah.
I don't think that director is in the panel today, so we
okay.
can't answer it directly. I'm so sorry, but it's a good question.
Okay.
But it's too bad
Not
because the
different.
topic is about bullying, and even in my book, there's an entire chapter relating to bullying in the context of kids with differences and disabilities. So,
I'm going to grab a question down here.
oh, yep.
This is a question for you. How long did it take you to create your film? I'm a coda, and Sophia's a deaf filmmaker from Australia. So it was so moving. Tell me, how long did it take you, and your process?
Ooh. Almost 8 months. Really from starting with storyboarding And we have a hearing committee that helped me, and really encapsulating the deaf experience. And so I started with ASL poetry, my own ASL poetry, and that is what impacted the film, and how the shots were made is made off of this ASL poetry that I had designed. And it follows that story, and it develops that through a storyboard as I was signing it. And so we did ASL movement, and so this film is actually based on real ASL movement that I was doing.
Let's see.
I also had 2 students help me color it as well.
She was afraid by a bear. She ran away, right? A grizzly bear.
I think that was a different movie.
You know
too.
what? That is a different film. That actually was Charlie and the Hunt. So that was a different film than the guest that we have.
Oh, because she's just trying to listen and trying to run away and not get worried by her parents.
Yeah, I was prepared to talk about that just in case. And let's just all agree that was also the cutest dog ever. Go Shirley. I thought I was a cat person, but I want Shirley.
All right, we have a question up here.
I got a question. So the deaf animation, what style did you use, and how did you like spectacularly animate how a deaf person would feel when they have too much noise, like the sound and basically the color? Like, how do you like depict the disability of that? Because I can see it's a little bit black and white, a lot of like open land, a lot of imagination in her head. How was it like?
So the sound waves are not physical, and they're not visual either. So we tried to figure out how we could show sound in a more mental way inside of her own head, and what that feeling was like inside of your body as well, without any color. And so the sound waves were a really huge challenge for me to design, because how do I make these waves in a way that makes me remember my experience and is true to my lived experience as being in speech therapy and being in schools and having to do speech practice. And so watching the lines of the graph go by, the spectrogram. And so seeing those was a huge inspiration to me. And sometimes they would be colored and you would be able to see these waves. And so as I spoke, those waves would go by, and it really inspired me to design it that way in the film.
All right.
I want to give a huge thank you, first of all, to the filmmakers for being here and sharing their films, and all the filmmakers who made fantastic films. There are short films for everyone here. There's I like to think that the opposite of our family friendly is the With an Edge, which are coming up on May 2nd at 2 p.m. And so many other fabulous short films. A lot of them are available also online this week as well, so you can share them with your friends. We're actually late for our next activity. Which is, and this is thank you to Meg for leading this fabulous conversation. The Flaunted activity is going to be happening in the classroom that's across the hall right here on L2. And there's also the book activity, the book talk, which will be in the Flaunted book talk activity will be in the Teen Center, which is also, both of them are across the hall, one for kids, one with Meg and with Pamela for adults. So please join us there. At 2 p.m. we have the screening of Jasmine is a Star, and 4:30 Upside Down, 5:30 our comedy night, much more this week. Join us for more and spread the good word. Thank you very much. Thank you all.